Where were you a couple pages before? I mean, we needed her there and you were just ghosted out. Where were you? But now we get her. We found her. Amazing. She's not dead. You know, by every video, I kind of forget how to say hello. So, hello. This is a last minute video idea thing that I am doing right now. Actually, my plan was just talking about a book that I just finished reading because I'd like to talk about it. So this is going to be a spoiler discussion book talk about Leah on the Offbeat. But the reason why I'm very motivated to talk about this book in a spoilery way is because there's not much to spoil in the first place. It's more just the yearning that you get to experience within this book because the plot is almost non-existent. The plot is character-based, it's very much predictable, somewhat. So it wouldn't hurt, I believe, if I would just spoil you with a couple of things from this book. I doubt that it will destroy your reading experience if you're still wanting to read this book. So, if you don't know this book, this is a sequel to Simon versus the Homosapiens agenda. In this book, we follow Leah, which is one of the friends in the friend group which Simon is in. And also, Leah is bisexual, but she is not out yet, at least not to her friends. She is very cynical as a character, which I don't understand why people wouldn't like her character. I mean, she's hilarious. The thing is, what she has to go through in this book, which you will see very much often, is her insecurity when it comes to materialistic things. Somehow, the friends that she is in, the friends that she have, they're very much sustained by their needs. And Leah, she's not jealous of them or something like that. That's totally not what I'm trying to say here. It's more that she is more appreciative for the things that her classmates have that she doesn't have, or her friends have and she doesn't have it. She does have a tendency to feel as if that her friends do take specific things in their life that they have as a privilege for granted compared to her, that she doesn't have it. That's something that we do get to encounter a couple times, which is completely understandable, I think. So, we follow Leah, who is in this all-girl band. That is the beginning of the book. We just find them in their rehearsals. And then later on, after their rehearsal, goes to the play of where Simon, Abby, Nick are practicing for a play. And if you know already from the previous book, Simon is the character who is an openly gay person now in their high school, which is Simon and Bram, you see them in this book very much often as well. They are still together. And then we also have Abby and Nick, who are in a relationship together. And so, yeah, while Simon, Abby, and Nick are practicing their play with the other theater students, we get the introduction once again with Leah describing these characters in her life. And the thing is, at first, when I was reading this, I did not know what to expect when it comes to like any kind of romantic relationships, new romantic relationships. So when Leah commented things about Abby, the girlfriend of Nick, was one of the friends, I was like, yeah, bummer, because she kind of described her like perfection, gorgeous, wonderful, everything. And I was like, I see what you're doing, but I'm not gonna fall for it because, you know, she's in a relationship, right? So why should I build this emotional connection? I'm gonna keep myself safe for now. But then, you know, things turn around a lot, but we'll get to that later because I'm not never mind. So after that scene, they go to like a Waffle House. It's like tradition for them in their friend group to go to a Waffle House. So after the Waffle House scene, a few days later, Abby, we have some progress, people. Abby kind of has a question for Leah. It has to do with going to their university to like have a visit, a tour she wanted to come with Leah and her other two friends from the band. And Leah kind of finds this very weird because the thing is, Abby and Leah haven't been really entire talking friends for about a year or so. We get to know about that also later, but I don't think I will dive into that because there's just a lot of details. The thing is, Leah is overthinking everything, but I mean, same. The thing is about the group tour together thing as friends to go to university, that they are both going to the same university. That does not continue because of a very important thing that does happen. It's because one of Leah's band members says something about Abby, which is evidently racist. And Leah, let's stand her again, let's stand a human being who does stand for justice. She calls out her friend, which I think is very important that she does that, and also very good, because if your friend is being racist or being mean or being just humanely wrong, then it doesn't matter who they are, you call them out. It's just something that you're supposed to do. The thing is, this friend who said the racist thing felt attacked. Leah does not persist on continuing this tour thing, but Abby, she finds out about this occurrence. Abby suggests if Leah and her would go instead together as friends. Even for me, at the beginning, I was thinking that this was so entirely fishy. I mean, I don't understand what's happening. At this point of the book, I was still very much doubting of whatever things were happening, because if this book was going to infiltrate cheating, then I was not going for it, because that's just straightforwardly wrong. And also, in the first place, Abby is straight, right? Leah does not really give a straightforward answer, which will take place later on after a proposal that Bram was planning. And so after this proposal, Leah finally approaches Abby while they're still in this post-proposal euphoria kind of thing. And let me tell you that this part where this takes place, where Leah is just freakingly going to approach Abby, just saying that, okay, I'm going with you on the tour, something happens and I was out of my breath. I think that when an author does this, it's just plain torture on the reader itself. I mean, why do you do this? If you're gonna give me Yearning, you better give it to me full on, because if you don't, then I'm gonna be heartbroken by the beginning of the sentence. So this happens. Leah approaches Abby, saying something like, I need to tell you something. Something like that. And then Abby was like, and then Leah says, yes, I am. The thing is, when I read on, I really thought it was true, okay? I really thought it was true. I expect too much from certain people. Leah was joking. Because the conversation was like, no, of course I'm not asking you to prom. And then Abby was like, oh, even the characters that you're implying this kind of situation is very disappointed in you. Why would you do this? Why would you tell me something like this, something so utterly important, to start a kind of Yearning parade and then you cut it off? Isn't that like so cruel to inflict that kind of thing to somebody? Like, you're tricking them, you're tricking their feelings, and then you're just gonna put a wall around it afterwards saying, oh, I'm just kidding, I'm just gonna hurt you some more, and then put this wall right after you're welcome. This is a huge chunk of me skipping because I just don't want to get into that. Later on in this book, Abby and Nick break up. It's because it is their senior year, so they would go to university, and Nick and Abby are going to both different universities because of not only like distance but also financial situation. Abby does not want to support a long distance relationship because she says things like she wants to feel more free, or she does not want to have this emotional labor on top of herself during her universitarian experience or stuff like that. And Nick is just of course heartbroken and all that. I don't really care. But of course, this university tour between Abby and Leah, they continue, which is what we like to see here. That's exactly what I'm here for, and I don't want this book to hurt me again. Yeah, you're a fool. I'll just have to insert this part where Abby is talking about what she feels about this breakup between her and Nick, and then Leah just kind of, listens. Abby says something like, "I think I'm done dating boys or men." And then Leah, which I did not expect that she had the guts to even say that. She says, "Maybe you should date girls." This book really does, it has a great job. It has a great job in inflicting all kinds of serotonin in your blood system, even though it's just plainly easy words, but they are just so very much handed to you on a silver platter, even though they're just tiny little, serve pieces. And then Abby, she says, "Maybe I should." And hello again. My phone died while I was filming, so this is 2 hours later. The future. Fantastic. So I'll just continue where we left off. Where did we left? So after that situation, they arrive at the dorms where their university is. Basically, right at that specific day, they are already invited to a university party held by, university students. Abby and Leah, they go to this party that same night. So they go to this party and then they meet all kinds of, students that could be their future, classmates. They also meet this university band, and they also meet Leah, who later they find out that she's also in a band, and this university band is looking for a new drummer. And luckily, Leah is a drummer. I mean, how could there ever been such a perfect fit, right? This band asks her to perform for them at that same night. And because they had a drum set in that place where they were having a party, that happens. She performs and she does great. And after the party, they go back to their dorm room, and that is where everything will go downhill, because this happens. They both sit at the couch, and Abby is quite the tipsy kind because of the party, but thank goodness Leah is completely sober. Well, Abby, she starts the conversation, and she starts it by saying, "You make me question things." And Leah is being this innocent kind, saying that, "What things?" I don't know if I can make myself tell you this in a very proper way, is how I express it, so I'm just gonna show you the whole dialogue right here. Yeah, that happens. That completely happens. I'm supposed to be happy about that. I was supposed to be happy about that. But the thing is that we have to consider here is that, for one thing, Abby is drunk, basically. She just broke up with somebody. And we don't even know if this is even platonic or something romantic. So there's a lot of problems in that scene overall. So after that, we find out that Abby was just experimenting as a straight person. And because she also thought that Leah was a straight person. So she basically said, "This is just two of us experimenting, two straight girls experimenting." And of course, Leah becomes extremely disappointed and angry that she would assume somebody already straightforward to be straight, even though they never said anything in the first place. So this creates a whole kind of tension altogether. I don't have to tell you how things will go down. They just, every kind of cliche movie or book where if there's a problem, then there's no proper communication, or they just ignore it. So that's how it goes. Later on in the book, so I'm skipping again a bunch of parts, Abby wants to talk. Like talk. And the thing is, in that conversation, when they do, Abby actually comes out to Leah as being low-key bi. And this is another problem in the book. The thing is, when Abby did come out as so, Leah was questioning her way of coming out, because she says that she cannot be low-key bi because there's no such thing. It's either you're in or you're out. There's no in between. Leah doesn't try to be understanding about that. I mean, for somebody who is by herself, who had to keep that within herself instead of telling her friends, she could have at least been kind of understanding in the fact that she Abby is having troubles to try to understand this herself. And another thing that I thought that Abby could have just done was just, yeah, sure, question your sexuality, but you don't have to go into conclusions right away in order to be with somebody, you know? Because if you have feelings for somebody, then that is how it is. You don't have to conclude and put yourself into a label at that exact moment. But that's up to her. It's their lives, their fictional lives. I am trying to understand and make it as it is. And instead, Leah would stay and try to talk it out, try to help. She storms off and leaves Abby in their place where they had a conversation. You can already tell that by this part of this book, it's as if the characters are very much not themselves anymore. It's as if somebody else took over writing about them. I don't want to get too much into details anymore. I'm going to reach the end of this book. We get to the ending. And, okay, they're at the prom. Leah has a date. It's a hetero male guy. Abby doesn't go with a date. She's just alone. And the thing is, Nick does something very kind of mean. And I won't tell you what it is. It's just mean. It's just plain on mean. But yet again, Abby did something also kind of wrong. So they're kind of on the equal plate now. When Abby sees this, she basically storms off the prom gym. Because, you know, in school gyms, that's where most proms are held, so she stormed off from there. And she went somewhere behind the school, still at the school though. Leah decided to follow her, so she deliberately just left her date saying, "Goodbye, I'm going to chase this girl." Leah approaches Abby, and Abby wishes for this specific time to be the time, that happy ending like most prom-coms movies have. Because Abby is willing to break all her walls just to be with Leah, because it's how she feels. She says that what you feel for somebody should be the primary source to, go for it, because you'll never feel something like that again or exactly the same. So what's holding you back? Stuff like that. And the thing is, Leah, being the overthinking self that she is, says that it's a bit too quick. And the thing is about that specific scene is that Leah becomes so incredibly understanding about the situation that Abby is going through. And I'm like, where were you a couple pages before? I mean, we needed her there and you were just ghosted out. Where were you? But now we get her. We found her. Amazing. She's not dead. After this conversation, Leah says she needs to go back to her date. I mean, what kind of excuse is that? You just left him anyway. Why would you put him back in the conversation? Anyway, she does. She leaves Abby in that place and she tries to walk back to the school gym. And while she's walking back, she's having these, out of this world thoughts. Because finally, after this entire book, at that exact moment, we kind of get a pinch of character development, because she realizes that this entire time in her senior year, she's been overthinking so many things, as if that every single thing that happens to her has to be perfect. It has to be processed in a logical way, because otherwise, if it doesn't, then she doesn't want it to happen at all. But in that moment, she kind of realized that this thing that she has for Abby doesn't have to be perfect. She should let it be imperfect in the first place, because it's something that happens in life, and regret is worse than anything else. Of course, the book did not really say it like that. It didn't spoon-fed you that information, but I'm doing that for you. And so Leah runs back to Abby and says, "Fuck it. Let's just be together." This is where the coming out actually has held. So while they're having their scene, there are two people who find them at the back of the school gym. And the people who find them is Simon and Bram, the two perfect people who can find two other gay people. We love to see it. And that is actually one of my favorite scenes of how wholesome Simon and Bram accept this and love it and support them so much without doubt or without even a slightest hint of hesitation. It's like the most natural thing you can see. That's it. That is the whole book. If you want to read it, I do suggest it, because there are a lot of things that I did not explain, or I may not explain it well. I may have told the story wrong. My name is sakinavanes, and I'll see you in the next video. And yes, I still have the ice pack. It's iconic to my, day of living now. Thank you very much. So, goodbye.